Welcome to the Healers Café, conversations on health and healing with Dr. Manon.
Hello and welcome to the Healers Café. And today I have with me Michelle Barrial. And she is a life transformation coach, intuitive healer, author, speaker, hypnotherapist, yoga teacher, and also a certified in healing touch, crystal healing, theta healing, hypnosis, EFT, sound healing. And what else? I mean, I have so many things I'd like to share, but you've been healing people in transition from physical body to spiritual
Yes, I've
for their return journey home. And
yes, so I've worked with people.
yeah, so why don't you tell us more about that?
Well, I've been working with people in transitions, people that have been experiencing loss through loss of a loved one, through cancer, through other types of terminal illnesses. Because I actually experienced a lot of that myself in my early years. Unfortunately, I had a lot of deaths around my immediate family and extended family. So I kind of really took in that sensation that I wanted to help people get through their grief, because I had experienced those losses in my family, and I wanted to support people that were going through that, clients and people would even just call me like, oh, can you come and pray with me? My family is, at that final stage. And so I feel like I'm like the person they call when they need that moral support during that time of transition that they know it's happening for their loved ones. So that's something that, is work that I can say that I enjoy, but yes, I enjoy supporting people through a difficult time.
Mm-hmm. And so tell us that's when you went through your own losses, which is what sort of awoken you to this ability you had, or did you always
Yes,
have an ability?
I noticed that I had abilities, as you would say, since I was a child, because I actually noticed that it had a lot of sensitivities, and that I could notice where people were hurting. Like I would put my hand on them and, oh, is this where it hurts? And they would tell me, yes, how did you know that? And I'm like, I don't know, but this is what I feel called to do. So eventually once I experienced a loss again through my family members, I decided to go and receive some healing myself. So I attended my first Reiki circle, I don't know, 1998 or 97, somewhere thereabouts. And I felt really euphoric about the experience. I was so happy that I felt the sensation of just light coming down through the ethers. And I just felt so much weight being lifted off of me. I had a real transformational experience. So I was like, I love this. I want more of this. I continued going to the Reiki circles. And then finally I said, I want to learn how to do this. I want to feel that I can serve people this way. So I wanted to continue as a practitioner instead going to the circles. So I received the attunements, and that's when I first became Reiki certified. And then I went on to actually do the whole mastership program and everything. So when I felt more confident as I kept practicing, working on people as a volunteer in the Reiki circles, and I started working in a center for people that had AIDS and that were in the stage of basically ARC, as they call it, where they're having some symptoms but not full-blown AIDS, but then finally other patients or clients that had AIDS. So I worked there as well for a few years as a volunteer. So I really built up more strengthening my abilities and helping a lot more people. So I felt very called to do that because I lost my brother through AIDS. So I felt that I wanted to support that community as something to give back. And so that's really where my journey started. And then I continued taking on other classes. So I started learning with Healing Touch, the American Holistic Nurses Program. And then I wanted to actually incorporate more mind-body techniques. So not just focusing on the physical body and its symptoms and its illnesses that were created, but wondering, what was the root cause of these symptoms or illnesses? So then I studied hypnosis and did more advanced courses in hypnosis. So that's where I finally, in 2001, I created my company called Healing Hearts and Minds, because I felt that was the synthesis, if you will, of both, the mind being where the creation process begins, and then the body, the physical manifestation of what's going on, the symptoms or illnesses or physical challenges that we experience in our day-to-day life. So that way I was able to, I feel like, treat the person holistically using those techniques.
Mm. So
So,
for some of our listeners may not really understand what Reiki is, and maybe if
okay,
you could sort of
sure.
explain it, and also explain why you, or how you saw it helping,
Okay,
in
absolutely.
concrete terms. Like, yeah, how does this work?
The Reiki is actually utilizing or tapping into the actual energy that exists all around us. There's energy in the earth, and there's electromagnetic fields, and there's energy everywhere. I mean, if we think of our bodies are really like one giant computer, and there's always processes going on that are electrically, stimulated through our brain and so forth, and our brain waves. So really we have this energy flowing through us, and then there's energy all around us in our environment. So you're really connecting to that universal energy, and what you're doing is you're acting as a channel so that the energy flows through you. And that's where you can sense if there's blockages in the person's, I call it their highway, their bio highway. So if you can sense that there's a blockages, much like traffic gets blocked sometimes and backed up, it's the same way with our bodies. So when you can sense that there's a blockage in the area due to a physical symptom, or again, due to some kind of spiritual or mental block, then what I do is just transmit the energy through myself, that I channel it as a channel. And then that's when I can feel that it starts to break up or sort of dissolve. I could feel and have that sensation that it's opening up the channel, and that way the energy can just flow naturally through the body like it usually does when you have a healthy body. So it actually is just releasing a disturbance and helping to unblock the flow of the natural flow of the energy through the body. So it's helping the body to really heal itself naturally. That's what I feel like. It's a natural process, and it feels very good. People feel very relaxed, much like a massage, but um, they go in a very deep way. More often than not, people have fallen asleep during sessions, or they feel like they woke up from a long sleep because of the way that they're just so relaxed mentally, physically, and emotionally. Some people have emotional releases, and that's really the healing. The healing is transforming something that was a disturbance at a physical level, or again, something caused by emotions that are trapped in the body and repressed, which we often do with our emotions. So that way the healing can, again, clear the way for all of that to be dissolved and released.
So I'm going to break it back a little bit and
Okay.
go into detail, but that's a beautiful overall description of this.
Okay.
But let's go. So, and the way I want to look at it is somebody who is still saying, okay, we got energy all around us. What is that? Like, what do you mean? So how do you know that we have energy around us? How could a person find out or tap into that you're talking about?
Well, if you even think of like static electricity, when your feet rub on the carpet and you feel, you put your hands up above your head and you feel that electrical energy. So again, that's a very simple way of testing energy, that it exists in the environment, that it's real, and that you, again, are acting as a channel through your body, and that electrical energy is going up through your body into the tops of your heads and making your hair stand on end when you practice that by rubbing your feet on the floor, on the carpet, or something like that. So again, energy is something that, like electricity itself, we take it for granted that it's always going to be there. As we plug in something, an electrical product into the wall, that it's going to turn on when we press that button. So it's much the same way. The electricity is always there. It's always flowing through our body. If we think of the sun's energy, we receive that energy through our bodies, and it helps our bodily processes, so that we take in energy all the time. If you think of the way you relate to people, sometimes you say, I don't know, when you meet someone, I don't know, there's something about them. And it's, again, the energy or the vibration that you're picking up from that person. Maybe it's that they had a bad day or a bad experience, but yet because their energy is closed, then you don't feel comfortable with them. Their energy, their vibration, their aura field, and all of that around them, it means that it's not open to you. You don't feel that you can connect with this person. And that's very often what we can't name it or really describe it, but we know we don't feel comfortable sometimes with our interactions with people. And it's again because our energy field is coming up against their energy field, and there's a disconnect. There's no mutual connection of, oh, it's welcoming and wow, nice to meet you, and oh, I think this person and I could get to be friends or like each other, and so on. That's how we as humans connect energetically to each other.
That's a great description, actually, and it's it's true, because sometimes I find that it's understanding the basic things and realizing that we can notice these things, right? Like people who might be interested in learning this, because obviously, and I'm going to ask you more how you found it helpful, but it's just to know that it's something we can learn to observe and notice. Now, the other thing I wanted
feel, because I think it's all about our feelings. It's really how we undermine our feelings. Like we're always trying to think things through and be so analytical, but if we really get more in touch with our feelings, that's really the compass, if you will, for where we need to go. It's our intention that we need to pay more attention to.
Right. And so when you have a person that you're helping, and you can feel that there's a stuck energy, that there's something not flowing, what is the process in Reiki that you're what are you transmitting? So you've noticed what's not feeling right, and with skill and time you can fine tune this clearly, or sometimes I think some people have it much more instinctively, as you might have in your childhood. But what is it that you're bringing forth? What is that? Like, is it an intentional energy? What is it that you're
I think you're, at least for me, the way that I learn this process and the way that I explain it to students, even that I teach the process to, is to connect with divine love. So if you're connecting with the most powerful force on earth and coming from above, from a place of, pure, as you said, intention to help, to be of service, to provide love to this person that's in pain, physically, emotionally, or mentally, they're suffering. That's why they're coming to receive this energy from you, is because you can provide them something that they're missing in their life. Maybe they don't have that unconditional support and that sense of love in their life. So this is what you're offering to them. You're just, again, I call it, divine love, divine light. And that's really what you're supposed to do. You just let it flow through you, like, water through a hose. You just let it happen. And, you have no preconceived ideas about what's going to happen. You just let it flow. And so that way, as I learned, that it knows where to go. You're not really even directing it. It just knows where to go. All I'm doing is feeling an area that may have a disturbance. So maybe I just kind of open the channels even more, or allow more flow to happen.
So it's the connection with the overall intent, and then the patient who's asking for the help.
Absolutely.
That starts Reiki working.
Exactly. They have to obviously be willing. And when I come to meet with someone, I always say, that I'm going to ask for guidance or a prayer to open up the channels for them to be open to receive, and for me to be able to, provide the highest and best, I could say, highest and best service to them, for them to be able to receive the energies. So that way that there's a mutual agreement, if you will, between me being the provider of this energy and there being the recipient to be open to it, to receiving it. So it's like a contract.
Right.
In a way, yeah.
And so as far as, and I know I'm taking you down in a completely left brain intellectual currently for whatever reason.
It's okay.
But what would be, or what are the differences in the way it works, like theta healing or crystal healing or healing touch? What do you see as differences, and or maybe you can speak a little bit about those therapies?
Yes, each of them are very, powerful in their own right. And with Healing Touch, because it came from a nursing background, it was more analytical. We tested the client beforehand with a pendulum, so we'd use that as your scanning device, if you will, to note if the areas were opened or blocked, depending on the spin of the pendulum. And then you would make notations or notes in your client chart. So it was very much following, a protocol of being able to document before and after treatment. With, as you said, with crystal healing, I use crystals sometimes to accompany me when I'm doing Reiki as well. I may do a placement of crystals on the body, and it's really for amplification of the energies. And again, for if there is a person that's deficient in a particular vibration or colors, because of course the crystals come in various colors, and those colors represent, like if you would call them, grades of energy. So if a person needs more of a particular, let's say, the energy of love in their heart, so maybe more of the green, might put a green crystal in their heart chakra. So then that would stimulate more them receiving unconditional love. With crystal healing, you mentioned theta healing. With theta healing, it's both. It's actually you're stepping out of the way completely. You're tapping into the all that is, the creator of everything, and you're really a witness to the healing that's going on. So you're not transmitting energy or sending energy much in the same way that you're just a clear and open channel, but you're more standing behind like a witness to what the creator is doing to manifest the healing. And then what you're doing is also working on limiting beliefs. So in theta healing, you're going to be asking questions to the client, asking them more so where they might have picked up this issue, if it was from the past, if it's a current situation. You do muscle testing, and then you also clear the issue, so from the mental body as well.
So it's that one, it's more of a participatory for the questioning, but then you step out of the way.
You step out of the way to allow the healing to take place, right? Once they have clarity on, what the issue is that they want to work on.
Okay, and then hypnosis, I mean, besides getting into a state where you're more able to kind of release the subconscious, let's say, what's the difference in?
Well, hypnosis is, as you said, in the state of you're focusing on your subconscious mind. So our conscious mind is what we're in most of the time, but in reality, our subconscious mind is the mind where your memory is, long-term memories, part of where your imagination is. So, and it's also where you have a lot of beliefs from childhood, traumas and things that you don't remember that come up that are still affecting you today as an adult. So by doing hypnosis, you're able to go back in time in a way to process and connect with those memories, even if you don't really remember them consciously, but those memories or those feelings really come up and therefore being resolved. That's the idea. So with hypnosis, it's to have the connection to the past, to be able to take care of what's going on in the present that's causing, money issues or health issues and so forth. And that usually, again, because it's happened so long ago, you've forgotten about the incident. So it's to go back to the initial, as they call it, sensitizing event of what happened, to be able to set it free and like release it completely, reframe it, so that you see how it taught you a lesson. What was the purpose of it in your life? And it was because you learned something valuable through that experience. So you just have to honor all your experiences, because they all are in your life for you to learn something valuable, even if you don't recognize it at that time when it occurred.
So you, as a practitioner with different options, different ways
yes,
of helping, how do you then decide this is what's going to be right, or what's your internal process?
Hi, this is a small commercial break, and for you to let me know that you're enjoying these conversations, please go 1, to subscribe to my podcast, number 2, write a review, because if you write a review on iTunes, more people know about this and I can help spread the work, my work, but the work of everyone else I'm interviewing. And number 3, please sign up to my tips for your healing journey. And you can do that under www.drmanonbolliger.com/tips. Thank you.
In conversations in a pre-dialogue with the client, then I'll ask them where if it's a physical pain that's manifesting, a disease, so forth, and I have an idea of where to go with the process. So sometimes I could do a physical treatment, but if the pain continues, or again, if it's a long-standing problem, then we're going to go and try to work through the mental body to be able to clear out what's actually was, like I said, that event or the experience that set the seed, planted the seed in a way of them manifesting at the physical level, something that's causing them to have this illness or having the chronic pain and so forth. So, but in a way, both. So I really have to go working through the physical body, because most people come in when they're already in pain, like an ailment. They come already when it's been a while that they've had this problem. So I'll go through that with them. And then if I find that there's still something like that I may feel that's coming up for them, and I'll just say, it seems like this has been there a while. Did this happen when maybe I sense that there was like a feeling like a broken bone in your body? Did you have an accident a while back? Was there something that caused that? And then I'll just pick up on a thread of something that I sense in their body. And then that'll lead me to, oh yes, I had this problem at that time. And so it slowly unravels, and you get to really, again, the source of what is the problem. They came in for one thing, but usually that's not the underlying issue. There's always something else that really was the cause.
So are you finding in your experience that, and again, I'm going to give a generalization, but feel free to completely change that if it's not true, but that many, if not most, of long-term physical problems have a seed that comes from the emotional or subconscious body? Is that...
I believe that because, again, our emotions are very often repressed for many, many years, for one reason or another, upbringing, culturally, a lot of things that go on in your life from childhood that, you weren't able to express for one reason or another. So they get trapped in the body, and they get trapped, guilt and shame in one part and anger in another part. And really, if you map the body out, there's actually regions of the body where emotions are stored. So that's why it's important to get to the heart of the matter. Is really emotionally is what the trigger, if you will. Your emotions are what trigger physical responses in the body that eventually manifest either a short-term problem, it could be sciatica pain, or it could be something major, again, like heart disease or something else like that. So definitely, as Louise Hay, I followed Louise Hay a lot when I was first studying, and she wrote a lot of books about how to heal your body. And in her books, she describes how there's a mental connection between the body and the mind. So I frequently show that to people and say, look, there's let's say a toothache. Well, you have a toothache on the left side. Okay, let's take a look at what this might mean here. Do you think that perhaps this resonates with you? Rather than me giving them my opinion, I just pull out like a third party reference, if you will, and I show them maybe that's a possibility for them to start thinking about.
Interesting, yeah. And so, because you've done a fair amount of work in hospices, have you noticed that the passing on to whatever one calls it, afterlife or death or whatever, I don't want to get into
Hmm.
any religious beliefs, but have you found that the way a person passes away is in any way correlated to the amount that they've cleared of their belief systems, their pains, their past, or is it unrelated? Like people just, they die when they die. Like, have you seen anything, because I mean, we spend our lives, especially as healers, spending so much time, almost like detoxing our bodies, our minds, our emotions, bringing stuff up, because I think part of being able to be there for another, at least that's my belief, is that you work on anything that comes up for you.
Exactly.
um, and the question is that, even though it might be fascinating and interesting and all of that, does it actually, have you seen an impact on it, on the dying process?
I think, as you said, that we spend a lot of time detoxing ourselves and then, helping others in this process. And I feel that as healers, we feel that, even we're challenged, especially when it's a loved one, even though we may have a strong belief that life continues and it doesn't just terminate because you left this physical body and that you're going to another plane of existence. You know this in your, or at least in your heart. I believe for myself that their life is a continuum, and but it doesn't take the pain away from your loss. I mean, we're all human beings, and we all experience losses of loved ones and so on, and it doesn't change your your reactions. Your emotional reactions to the situation. But I feel like it does affect people, as you said. And maybe I noticed that when they are clearing in the final stages, I find that the people had a stronger faith, if you will, or a stronger belief. Generally tend to go more peacefully than people that had no faith or no type of uh, felt no support, that they didn't know that they were going into the unknown, and then they are more afraid than people that have at least a more faith-based, I guess, I want to say lifestyle. If they have had practiced all along a certain amount of faith, prayers, or whatever, meditation, whatever it may be, that they seem to be more calm, reaching the moment of transition, than people that didn't have any type of strong beliefs in any type of religion or faith at all, faith practice. So I think that makes a big difference in the transition.
So, um, and that does make sense to me. What I was also asking though is, does the have you seen a correlation? So that's a clear correlation you've seen, is that people who have more faith or have done that kind of work, it's easier because they're supported and
Right.
they feel the universal support. What I'm wondering is the people who have done, or who might be healers, they might be, I mean, it could be your brother, could be anybody that is in a process. Does the amount of work they've done in clearing their subconscious, clearing their pains, all of that, do you feel that that impacts how they go? Does that make any difference? In
I
other
think
words, the
I feel that,
journey that,
yeah, that they would, like you said, that if they've been working on themselves and clearing themselves of different issues, I feel like maybe their passing is more peaceful, their passing is even shorter, maybe they're not suffering as much or being through an extended illness, like hospice, having to be in hospice or something, but even maybe the time in hospice might be shorter. So I feel that people that have more of clearing in their lives, that they've come to terms, if you will,
Mhm.
with people in their lives, that they've done closure with family and friends and so forth, then they feel more complete to let go and ready really to let go and surrender the physical body. So I think that those people have a much more calm transition or peaceful
Mhm.
transition than people that are just still thinking about what they didn't get to accomplish, or suffering about things that didn't go, didn't go as planned or go when they wanted them to go through their lives. So I think that people that can let go easier, in that ending time, is because they've already done their clearing process. I think that
Right.
they've
Yeah.
realized that time was imminent and they already started to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think when you mention closure, I think, because I see the world, that's one of the reasons that we become ill is an internal conflict, something that
Right.
um, that we need to realize that uh, that has to be cleaned out. And in the end, it's really about loving yourself as well, and nurturing yourself, taking care of yourself. And by doing that, you actually, it helps other people as well, and I find that,
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're
yeah,
all related. We're all related. As we
exactly.
heal ourselves, we
Mhm.
heal the world, we heal the others. It's all, we're all, there's no sense of separation. We as humans think of separation because you're a different race, you're a different color, you're just different. You live in a different city or state or country, whatever. But there are no there are no boundaries or separation in spirit. When we all ascend, and that's how I feel, when we all meet our maker, as you say, we're all united. We're all there. We're all together. We're all one body,
Mhm.
and that's just my belief. So I think that if we all thought more about in the unity consciousness, it would be a lot easier. Um, to get along as a human race and be more supportive to each other uh, overall. There would be a lot less conflicts.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's not necessarily religion, since
No,
many
no, but
wars have been
just
fought on religion.
humanity. We
Exactly.
all, I mean, like I saw one of my favorite songs now that I've been listening to is like the singer talks about we bleed the same. So there's a lot of things that we have in common, from just our humanity, having this physical body, having all kinds of emotions, experiences that are similar. When people are sad, it's all expressed through tears. When people are mad, they have same emotional reactions in a way. Um,
Mhm.
some a little bit more heightened than some, but basically the emotions are the same for
Mhm.
humans, and there's so many things that is just part of the human experience that we all share. So
Mhm. So what experience, again, no names, all of that, since we can't really it's not correct to be personal that way, but what have you been, or who have you been able to help that really impacted you? Because obviously you chose this path after, yeah, after the passing of your brother. What have you seen that just keeps you thrilled and loving what you're doing?
um, very often, I think that when I've worked with people, as you just said, like people through transitions, it's the most difficult part is to give that person that peace to let go of everything that they know and everyone that they love, and to just feel that they are going to a place that's going to be, as we always say, a better place, but nobody like knows for sure. Like there's, people say, well, there's no guarantees. But I feel that if you give that person that sense of peace as they are in pain or they are struggling, and just let them know that, they are, divinely loved and supported, and they can make this transition as long as they open up to be ready to go. So if they feel like, okay, I'm not scared, I'm going to be okay, I'm going to just let go of all the physical body, and now I'm going to come into a different kind of body, my spiritual body, and then I'm going to have different experiences. So, allowing yourself to just go through that process. So I think for me, the most rewarding time is actually helping people make that transition. And I've done it even with a few animal fur babies of mine, and that's very painful, but also very rewarding, because I remember that I was holding one in my arms, and I would tell her, just breathe with me. Just let it go, let the pain go, or let yourself being scared to go. And, helping even, our animals, our beloved fur babies, transition. And that's such a, I don't know, it's a rewarding experience in a way, because you're showing them the light, the light that you have inside in your heart, and you're offering them to go peacefully to the light.
Well,
So,
I'm actually going through that with my little furry one right now. So,
maybe I picked up on that. I don't know, but I do feel that way. I do feel that way because, they provide so much unconditional love, and then that's, and we're not even there. We as humans don't understand that. And so when you're in that place of healing, that's the closest that we can get to feeling that. Feeling that unconditional love for ourselves. You talked about self-love. Self-love is the best gift you give yourself. That is by far the best gift that you have to give to yourself. Nothing material can compare. Self-love is the most important quality, and one of the master teachers, said that. Jesus said, love yourselves as I have loved you. So that's it. I mean, that to me is like the best gift you can give to yourself. And when you open your heart up to love another person or an animal, and give them that kind of love, it's just unbeatable. It's just really the ultimate. So I think that's really important too, for us to love ourselves enough to have enough to share. So when we fill our cups up, we have enough to overflow and share with everyone else.
Now, have you had anyone that has asked for help, but is absolutely resistant on, they're like, they say there is nothing else, like, stop talking to me about this, or I don't know, I'm just trying to make it up, but
I've had people that I actually had in a Reiki circle that a couple came in together, and the man was sitting there like this. So, like right over his heart, like guarding himself. So that was definitely resistance. So he felt that he was doing this just to please his wife. So, he was not really receptive to that experience. So I have had that experience.
And he was the dying one.
No, in a Reiki circle, in a group. Yeah, like when they came in for group healing. But he was resistant to receiving. So, because some people will say, oh, you've got to try this. But some people are just afraid of trying, new experiences or new things. They're like, and especially something that, I can't see, I can't understand, I don't get it, this is not for me. So
right.
I think that's a large.
Have you ever been called in by family members, though the dying person has no faith, no?
Oh yeah. I worked on a couple of people that were atheists. I mean, they were atheists. The families felt differently or grew up differently. But as they grew up, they chose to be atheists. So yes, I went because the family invited me to go and provide, peace and comfort to their loved ones. And so we just joined as a circle. We all joined hands. So that way we could just actually transmit the energy of love between all of us that were encircling the person that was transitioning, to feel more connected to all of us. And that was going to help to relieve their fear of going to what they felt was like the unknown, because they had no sense of They thought it was just, it's over, that's it. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's how I did it, to be able to connect everybody together, to be able to feel that, like a circle of love going around, and just, even could touch our hearts and do it like that.
Right.
So I think that's why I said it's a really beautiful experience. Many times you don't know what's gonna transpire out of that type of experience.
Very interesting. Yeah. So let me think if I had any other questions I had. Oh, let's see. I'm trying to think what else. So many things in your bio, which I will be posting, so people can get more information on you. But well, let's put it this way: is there anything that you would like to, as parting words at this point, that you would like to share?
Well, I would like to share that I created a book last year, the end of last year. So I'm going to show it on screen if you don't mind. Of course, it's backwards, but it's called 7 Elements of Total Health. And the little caption under here reads Stress Stoppers. So in my book, I talk about the ways that you can create a healthy life, body, mind, and spirit. I talk about how to relax, physically, like mind hacks for sleeping. I talk about breathing, how important it is to maintain your breath control, particularly when your emotions try to take over, and then you want to help yourself to be calm again and feel like you're not losing control, but rather that you are in control of your emotions. So I teach steps in there for breathing with a few exercises. And also I talk about the power of gratitude, creating an attitude of gratitude, how important it is to create a gratitude journal. And I talk about also the power of sound, since I do healing with sound.
That's right, we didn't talk about that, yeah.
Talk about how we can use sound and give different exercises. I also give a couple of meditation prompts in there, so you could either record, read it and record it and then listen to it in your own voice. And then also I talk about how you want to just use these techniques for, your everyday life, and then also about grounding it and integrating these things into your life. So grounding, meaning when you're super overwhelmed and you feel like, the stress is just getting over the top. So one ways that you can ground yourself is actually just walking in nature, coming back into your awareness of your being fully present in your body. So when you walk outside, I live in Florida, so I can take off my shoes and walk barefoot. And when I walk on the grass, that really grounds and connects me to earth and the energies from the earth that really keep me centered. And so that's one way for me that helps me a great deal. And I recommend that to people, that they could walk anywhere in nature. And particularly if they have forests or trees or mountains or even the oceans nearby, that nature is so beautiful to connect with, because it really gives back. Mother Nature's always giving to us. And so when we are in those energies, we really, that's a form of healing, just natural healing that you can receive from nature.
Absolutely.
All of the beautiful energies that are out there. So that's what I encourage people to do, to be able to integrate fully in their mind and in their bodies, the balance that we need every day.
Well, thank you for those parting words. And it was lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café with Dr. Manon. For more information, go to drmanonbolliger.com.